Hey, what's going on? Luke here, and I'm here to discuss the Game 2 side for the New South Wales Blues in 2024. Now, in Game 1, obviously, we saw the Blues lose. Literally lost the game in the first couple of minutes. Suaalii came in, swinging arm to Reece Walsh. The rest is history. Obviously, he can't play. He's suspended, so they definitely were going to make changes, and I'm super happy with the changes that they made. Now, the Game 1 side, I feel like it was heavily criticised, and I think rightly so for the most part. We did see Dylan Edwards get named, and then obviously out through injury as well, so in Game 2, they have announced Dylan Edwards. In fact, let's just go over the actual side that they have named. They've gone Dylan Edwards at fullback, so he comes into the side, but he was going to be there last game anyways, but Tedesco he actually did an alright job. But the highly contested position was fullback, which was Dylan Edwards, James Tedesco. Clearly, Dylan Edwards is the number one, despite Tedesco playing pretty well. On the wings, Brian To'o, Zach Lomax, the same as last game. This is where the change is. Stephen Crichton, probably New South Wales' best in Game 1, in my opinion. And then Latrell Mitchell comes into the side, which, I'm so happy. I'm so happy about Latrell Mitchell being there. He's kind of been very outspoken about how he's been treated poorly by New South Wales and that sort of stuff. I personally don't think he's been treated poorly by the fans. I think he's been treated poorly by like Brad Fittler and stuff. And when he talks about being a scapegoat, I think Brad Fittler definitely made him to be a scapegoat at different times. Dropped him when I don't think he should have dropped him. He's just one of those guys that if you play for Queensland, he'd get picked every time, but for New South Wales, we just seem to overlook him. But yeah, I'll get to Latrell later on. The halves, Jerome Luai retains his spot. Mitchell Moses comes in for Nico Hines. Poor old Nico. Didn't really have much of an opportunity, did he? In the first game, like whatever he played last year, he played a couple of minutes off the bench, not in his position. And then he's come in and he's had to play a game at halfback in an Origin opener, and center gets sent off 8 minutes into the game, so you're playing down a man. Not exactly great conditions to come in, but I'll be honest, I think Mitchell Moses would have been selected. I think it's kind of a case of Dylan Edwards where he's the first choice. It's just they were injured, so I think if Mitchell Moses wasn't injured for Game 1, he would have been there. So it makes sense. But regardless, I am quite happy, and I know Mitchell Moses hasn't exactly been killing it since he's come back from injury. He had a really good game, and then he's been followed up with two kind of mediocre sort of games, but I think we know what Mitchell Moses can do, and he's delivered in the Origin stage before, so I'm keen to see how he goes. Then we have Jake Trbojevic retaining his spot, playing halves. Pretty much the rest of the forward pack is the same, but Cameron Murray comes in at lock, which I think is huge upgrade. Cameron McInnes, shout out to Cameron McInnes, he actually gets dropped out of the side. He was really good. He did his part, but in terms of New South Wales actually winning a game, it's all about styles, and I feel like New South Wales are going with the attacking mindset in Game 2, whereas Game 1 they went purely defensive, and obviously it didn't work. It definitely didn't work. They conceded a lot of points, and once Queensland had the lead, it was like, all right, this is not looking good. And we seem to forget too that Queensland had actually already scored before the swinging arm, so yeah, defense wasn't great. I like Lee Martin, Angus Crichton back row, and then Cameron Murray at lock. I'm glad to see it. I'm kind of, not offense, I'm kind of sick of seeing Isaiah Yeo at lock and all that sort of stuff. And it allows Isaiah Yeo to actually be a pretty good prop, which I think he actually is when he gets to play that role. But also, like, if anything happens, then, we do have a backup. So we've got Cameron Murray there. This is where it gets very interesting. Connor Watson. I was calling for Connor Watson to be into the side, and that's exactly what's happened. And I feel like a lot of people were calling for Connor Watson too, because he's so versatile. Like he can play fullback, he can play in the halves, definitely can play just like outside backs in general, and he can play in the forwards, and he can play hooker. Like he literally covers every single position. Kind of similar to when I was talking about Dylan Walker ahead of Game 1. I feel like New South Wales, if you're going to have a utility, have an actual utility, not just have a guy who can play one or two positions. And clearly they weren't going to pick Matt Burton. If they're going to pick Matt Burton, they would have done it already. So Connor Watson, he fits all needs. So if you need a hooker, he can play hooker. If not, he'll just play. He plays plenty of lock. You can play in the back row. I feel like he's just an out-and-out footballer, and he'll do a job for you at any position. He might not be the best player in any position, but he'll do a job for you, and he won't let you down. He's super fit as well, so you don't have to worry about him playing minutes and all that sort of stuff. I think he'll be fine. Really happy to see Connor Watson there, and also a great story just in terms of going to the Knights for an opportunity, the Knights not wanting him going back to the Roosters, still not really getting too much of an opportunity, and just being a bit part player, kept getting injuries, all this sort of stuff, and here he is in the Origin side. Actually, Hello Sport did a little interview with Angus Crichton, and he was talking about how it's funny that him and Connor Watson were both playing reserve grade at the start of the year, and now they're playing for New South Wales. So that's pretty cool. Rounding out the rest of the bench, Isaiah Yeo, Olaquatu, and Spencer Leniu. Matt Burton is not the 18th man, it's Mitch Barnett, Cameron McInnes, and Luke Keary round out the rest of the squad. I really, really rate this team. I really do. Game one, I kind of knew what they were going for, and we did have a lot of injuries, and New South Wales slowly getting back. Players like, you look at the ones who they've actually brought back in, they were guys who weren't available. It's not like they've kind of overlooked them and then brought them in. Latrell Mitchell was coming back from injury. Mitchell Moses hadn't played a game. I think he came back the same week. Origin was there. Cameron Murray obviously being injured. I think Connor Watson probably the only one, I think, who wasn't injured. Possibly he might have even been injured at the time. But also just a whole different team, so you can afford to, go a different option on the bench there. But yeah, I think Cameron Murray will be big. I think he'll be a big inclusion, and I think it'll become very evident how good he is. You add in as well, I think Latrell Mitchell, obviously, you have Critter out there. Critter, he does Critter things. Like, he's the best center in the game, in my opinion. But maybe we have the actual best center in the game. He just doesn't play center in Latrell Mitchell there. So him up against Holmes and the Hammer. Whoever he ends up matching up with, it's going to be an absolute nightmare for them. Latrell Mitchell, when he's motivated, and he is, when he plays for New South Wales win. Like, that's what I mean in terms of skateboards and all that sort of stuff. Like, he literally doesn't lose in State of Origin. And this is why I can't understand why it kept getting dropped. It's like, yeah, his form is a bit iffy at times, but you pick him. You pick him and he'll do a job for you, and he'll win you a game, and he'll win you a series. And I hate that New South Wales, they always sort of throw out the SOS and bring him in as the saviour. But the thing is, he comes in and he is the saviour. But it just begs the question, why not just put him in there? It's kind of what I was talking about with Josh Adokar. It's like they end up losing the first couple of games, and then they go, all right, let's bring in the experienced boys. Let's bring in the guys we should have had there from the start, like your Latrell Mitchells and such. But yeah, I think it's a very well balanced side. I think we got good size, we got good speed everywhere. I really rate this one. And also MCG, like, we have a decent record at MCG. I think Latrell Mitchell, I'm not going to sit here and say, yeah, he's going to be man of the match or anything, but just the threat of him there. The threat, it just wasn't going to be the same with Suaalii. And, I think Suaalii probably would have done a decent job in game one had he not got himself sent off. I think he would have been solid. But just the threat of Latrell Mitchell, like, even if he doesn't get the ball, the threat of him maybe getting the ball, it just creates so much opportunity for other guys. And I think that's what Stephen Crichton does on one side, and then obviously you have Latrell on the other side doing the same thing. It's going to open up space for everybody, and that especially for you guys like Mitchell Moses, great kicking game, and then Jerome Lawhite, who we know, Jerome Lawhite, when he's in the mood too, he can also be a great runner of the ball, and he can do a lot of damage too. So I think Moses and Lawhite, I feel like if Lawhite doesn't have Nathan Cleary, his next best option is Mitchell Moses in terms of a halves partner. So, yeah, no, I think this works out well for Jerome Lawhite. Mitchell Moses can do all the kicking. He's got a big boot on him, and he's very vocal, and he does like a lot of the directing around. Jerome Lawhite doesn't have to worry about doing that. He can just sort of do what he does best. And I'm expecting a win. I'm expecting a win from the New South Wales Blues. Didn't think I was going to be saying that after game one, but just with how this side is, it's literally the perfect side New South Wales could have picked with the available players. Now, obviously, your Nathan Clearys and such, that would have been fantastic if he's there, but, can't produce him out of nothing. He's injured. He can't play. It'd be interesting to see how Jake Trbojevic plays, because I think the sending off really disrupted the side in terms of rotation, all that sort of stuff. But, I'm keen to see Jakey sort of get some more minutes. Payne Haas, I really want Payne Haas to step up and have just like a massive State of Origin game. I feel like that's what New South Wales have been missing, where you look at Queensland, and there's like always, Lindsay Collins. You can remember games where he's, obviously he's leapt above James Tedesco, and he's had big games. Ruben Cotter was like a man of the series or something at one point. Queensland have had props who have really made a difference on the game, where New South Wales kind of have guys who just, they're there. Like, they're not bad, but they're just kind of there. So I'm looking for Payne Haas to have a big influence on this game, make a lot of meters. And I would love for just us to have like a bit of an enforcer as well, because we know Jake Trbojevic, he's going to be there and he's going to get through your minutes and all that sort of stuff. He's not there to pack a punch, really. He's kind of there to, just take a lot of the runs that people don't want to take. Whereas Payne Haas, I want him to just absolutely nail players. I want him to take those big runs and just, drop some people and that sort of stuff. So that would be really good. The back row, I mean, it kind of speaks for itself. Liam Martin always steps up in State of Origin level, and Angus Crichton in the form of his life at the moment, and obviously Cameron Murray there. I think I'm kind of glad that Cameron Murray's there, because I think it kind of eliminates the whole let's just try and replicate Penrith, which they easily could do with Jerome Luai and Dylan Edwards there. And as soon as Ayo's there, that's what they try and do. And I'm really excited. It's a well balanced side, and I'm so excited for State of Origin. I just had to give my 2 cents on the side, because there's not really anybody I can look at and be like, I wouldn't have picked them. Like, this is exactly the side I would have picked. Honestly, maybe Matt Burton, but that's about it. And I'm glad if Matt Burton's not going to play, I'm glad they didn't pick him as 18th man, because as a Bulldog supporter, sick of seeing him sit out games to sit out another game. Anyways, that's my thoughts on the side. Let me know in the comment section below. What are your thoughts on the side? Do you rate it? Do you actually like the New South Wales side? Is there anyone you would have picked? Maybe a guy like Bradman Best. Kind of unlucky just the fact that Latrell is available. Otherwise, Bradman Best easily could be there, but if Latrell Mitchell's available, you pick him. It's as simple as that. Well, that's the end of this video. If you happen to enjoy it, make sure you leave a like, subscribe. You know the drill at this point. Everybody YouTuber says it. Just go ahead and do it. It'd really help me out. Also, why not go ahead and check out some of these other videos that are on the screen right now.